I'd like to call the meeting back to order. We are moving to public comments. I'd like to open the floor to public comments. Seeing none, meeting is closed to public comments. I'm sorry. Review the minutes, regular meeting January 12th, 2021.
Make a motion to approve January 12th and January 27th.
Second. I got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, take a vote. All in favor? In favor. Unanimous. Review of the financial report, January 31st, 2021.
The report before you, I don't have too many things to highlight. The cash position is good. We have about $1 million remaining of ad valorem taxes to be received. Right now, the majority of the taxes for this year are sitting in the our general checking account. We'll be transferring some of those out to earn better rate of return. Payables are high this month. That's simply due to timing of payments. Due to timing of payments. If there's any specific questions, I'll be happy to ask. Those expenditures are in line.
Motion.
Yeah, we approve the financials as presented.
Second.
I got a motion to approve in a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, take a vote. Unanimous. I'd like to move in old business, move up the new fire apparatus since we have Rob here from Pierce. So, Chief, you want to start?
Yes, sir. As of the request of the last meeting, we were talking about, and you had asked if we could put a new apparatus on the agenda. And with the request after last meeting that we have Rob come in and kind of give us a synopsis of what Pierce can offer as far as apparatus that could fit what we're looking for on this end of town. We know on this end of town, we have some longer driveways that have some lower trees, and we were looking at smaller apparatus, and I say smaller meaning shorter, not necessarily one that would carry less equipment, but we would still be able to operate and perform the functions as any initial arriving apparatus could. So if a rescue were required, our folks would have the tools and equipment to be able to perform a rescue. Or if they need to make an initial quick attack and the situation warranted where they could go inside based upon the current rules, that they could. So we wanted an apparatus that could accomplish all of those tasks and be able to get down the driveways in that area. Calhoun has a lot of those with the older oaks that are hanging over. Some folks trim up fairly well, some folks don't, but we wanted to have a shorter apparatus that can get us down those driveways instead of having to operate off the road. For years, we've done what we call a long driveway drill. Well, that long driveway drill takes, no matter how much we practice, it takes a period of time to be able to drag 4-inch hose down a 300-foot driveway, as well as the additional appliances to go on an additional hose to be able to operate from a distance. So being able to put an apparatus down that driveway, or at least have the option to do so depending on the situation, would be beneficial for not only our citizens, but our firefighters. So bringing in Rob, he's able to provide us with information on potential apparatus that can meet our needs to be able to accomplish our goals on that end of town at the new station. So, Mr. Chairman, I think that leads right into it.
Well, Rob, you got the floor, my friend.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for coming too.
My pleasure. My name is Rob McAtee. I'm with 10-8 Fire. We're the dealership for Pierce Manufacturing, and your fleet is Pierce. So in working with Battalion Chief Taylor for quite some time on trying to get some ideas on, something that would be practical, fit the mission, but yet be short and extremely maneuverable in the environment, we came up with a pumper that I think would probably fit the bill. And this is a drawing of it. And this truck comes in at, I believe it's 8 foot Yeah, 8'6". It has a 162.5-inch wheelbase, and it's about 28 foot long. This truck carries 750 gallons of water. It has a foam cell. It has a 1500 GPM pump. It has the same seat that the big trucks have. It carries the same fire suppression capabilities of the big trucks. But with this truck being a short truck, both in length and height, but with the turning ability that it has with a 50-degree crank angle, this thing will get in places that the bigger trucks just won't go. The other thing too that's important to maintain your ISO rating is to have something that's going to be an NFPA rated 1901 pumper. And something like this does that. It allows you to carry the people. It allows you to carry the hose that you currently carry on the bigger trucks. Other than some of the extra, like the hatch compartments up on top that engine 9 and 10 have, and a little bit longer for some additional storage, this has the same fire suppression capabilities that the other trucks do. So if we were to look at a smaller type of vehicle, maybe it's on a smaller chassis, the problem is that we don't have the axle ability or weight ability to support much more than about 300 gallons of water. It doesn't have the hose capacity that you require, and it just wouldn't really be a good fit to cover a district. It would be a good support vehicle, but to cover a district, it probably wouldn't be a very good idea. So with that in mind, we came up with this concept. And you would be surprised how many departments are in the same position that you guys are. We find this with some of our older cities that have a lot smaller streets and things are really close. And with that, we find this to be an exceptional piece of equipment to supplement their existing apparatus. With an engine like this could very easily run out of this station if need be, or your other station if need be, or it can work on its own if it had to and be supported by additional apparatus that follows up. So this carries the same hose, the same water, the same pump. It has the same shooting capabilities as the other apparatus. So the guys would be able to climb into this machine and not miss a beat. They could step up and operate this one as if it was one of their bigger trucks. So there's a lot of benefit to that.
So most of the controls are on the same spot, is what you're talking about, and they're labeled the same way.
That's correct. Everything would
So
be
uniformity.
Uniformity, that's exactly right. Including the layout of the dash, the upper switch panel locations. Yes, it would be identical to what your other apparatus is, other than it doesn't have the 10-inch raised roof, it doesn't have the longer body, the taller body with the hatch compartments. That's
Just a
about the
little more
exception.
squattier,
I
sure.
like the wheelbase of it.
Yeah.
That thing will turn good.
Yeah, exactly right.
That's got a real good turning radius.
That's right, 162.5 inches. I was at the plant, I came back from the plant this morning, and I was looking at a mini pumper down there, a 4-door F550 mini pumper, and the wheelbase on it is 204 inches.
I was gonna say, that's 184, yeah.
It is, it's
That's 160,
162.5.
that's nice.
Yeah, so,
Yeah, that's nice.
yeah, to have the NFPA rating, to get those ISO points, and to have the fire suppression capabilities, that's not a bad package to have.
Good question, Chad. How high is the cab again?
8.6.
This truck is
8'6"?
8'6".
How long does it take to pump 750 gallons of water out of that unit?
Back quick. You got a 1,500 gallon pump.
Yeah, 30 seconds. If you had
Correct.
maximum discharges,
Right. If you got everything set up to do it.
yeah.
But keep in mind, Jack, correct me if I'm wrong, chief,
Right.
when we talked about getting a smaller truck, we knew we were gonna have to downsize the gallons in the truck. But this was enough to get started. The other trucks behind them, they're stretching hose, tying into that truck.
Oh, I understand. That's what I was asking. How long has this guy got to stand on his own?
Right.
And before he needs somebody hooked to him, the answer is 30 seconds.
Well,
no.
That's
So
full
that's it.
discharge.
I knew-
Discharges.
I knew where you were going. Right. So the typical operation doesn't happen with 750 gallons going out of initial operation, so it takes time. Now, I think what the point that Rob was trying to make is that this has the same capabilities as trucks here, or the truck at Station 10. So the truck at Station 10, when it arrives, operates on its own for a period of time until this station arrives with the rest of the crew. This one would have the same capability to be able to do the same thing that Station 10 does, just over in this area. So it's the same. I won't get into the nuts and bolts or the weeds of an operation and how many gallons per minute that we typically will run with one line pulled and how long it takes, but 7-8 minutes typically we can run when one line pulled and flowing full capacity on one line because of the amount of people that you have there. That's probably what you want to do anyway. Any larger than that, they're catching the water supply going in.
Right.
And then during that water supply hookup is when they utilize that while the driver does some. So it gets the water supply established. But what I think Rob has identified is a couple of points that are well taken, and that being that it is a pumper, although shorter height and width, it still is awarded full ISO points for being a pumper, where a mini pumper, because of its because if it's set up, meaning 350 gallons of water, doesn't meet the qualifications to be able to do that, or the complement of ladders doesn't meet it. There are things that keep a mini pumper from being able to meet those qualifications. So therefore, other fire departments that operate those go the route of trying to get the credit for a service vehicle because they know it doesn't.
Exactly.
In our area, there are 2 departments that I can think of right off the top of my head that have a mini pumper, like the 550 that operate on a 550 chassis that have the reduced capabilities as far as water and others. Both of those departments run that mini pumper out of the same station that they run a normal apparatus. So their thought is when they have a fire, the normal apparatus is really going to be doing it. The other truck is the truck that's actually carrying people to support them to get more manpower on scene, but they're not really going to operate independently by themselves for any period of time. Could occur, but doesn't always occur, meaning that they're using their mini pump to run a lot of rescue calls. So, and their thought process is that if they're out and they run across a vehicle fire, a brush fire, and they run across it, they've got the water supply to be able to do that. Not necessarily a structure fire, but they would be there, they could kind of get to work, but it's not what they're looking for. That's why they run 2 pieces out of the station that they're running that mini pump out of. So I just kind of want to point out, because I did reach out to those chiefs and talk to them about a mini pumper, and they said, no, this is our philosophy, this is our thought process behind it.
So a mini pumper wouldn't serve our purpose, what we're trying to
Being
achieve,
independent,
independent.
right,
Yeah, I
To support the
understand what you're
district by
saying.
itself, it
Right.
wouldn't have the stuff needed to do it.
right.
What is the GVW of this truck?
This one's gonna be about 35,000 pounds.
Gallons that we carry now, is it?
So, water,
In our trucks.
it's the same, 750.
Okay, that's what I thought it was.
No, this truck fits, this truck is the truck that's sitting in the bay.
Just
It's
shorter.
just a little shorter in all respects. What you can, just by looking at the picture, you can kind of tell that we have a raised cab on our other trucks. This one eliminates the raised cab. So you have a little bit less headroom that's in the space. I don't think that's,
An issue.
you know, if we weren't worried about the conditions that we have down there, I would prefer to have a raised cab for our folks to be able to operate in and out of. But in the situation we're in now, they'll be fine without it.
It's tight on fines on Calhoun.
Right.
Roads aren't that bumpy.
Huh?
Roads aren't that bumpy down there.
No, I'm talking about
But what the
down the
chief said-
driveway.
What the chief said about being
Right.
comparable is exactly right, because a regular pumper carries a 24-foot extension, a 14-foot roof ladder, a 10-foot folding ladder, and a couple of pike poles. A mini pumper will have a 2-section, 12-foot ladder at best, and that's the only ladder, where this has a full complement.
Right.
And if for whatever reason, maybe engine 9 and engine 10 are committed on the other side of the district to something, and this engine would be by itself to cover down here, it just wouldn't have the right stuff on it if it were something smaller than this.
What's the clearance for that? Like, we get to go over curbs, like during the summer when we're so busy,
Yeah,
we have to go over a curb or something in our,
well, the clearance on this is gonna be exactly like what you have on the other
Right.
It's plenty
engines.
high enough.
Same.
Exactly. In fact, if you see ingress and egress right here, you can see what the NFPA minimum is this, the angle of departure and approach. So you can see that we're going to be the same as what you have now.
Oh, that's a no-brainer.
And we, throughout all this process, the last couple of years of us trying to get into the park or going to the park, we told everybody it would be a mini pumper, a
Flash this
smaller
out,
version
you
of what
actually
we
got
got.
the visor on.
And this is a smaller version.
Exactly.
So, I mean, I feel real comfortable with it. I do.
See it where, yeah, six, eyebrow, there, yeah.
Cool.
How
big a problem are low-hanging oak limbs? I mean, is it 1 in 2 driveways have a problem, or 1 in 50 have a problem? 8 feet's not very high.
I'd say almost
This is- this
all
is-
Calhoun's got it.
Yeah, this is nice. This is gonna make night and day difference. That's what I was just telling these guys. The last couple of years, we've been telling everybody we need a mini pumper on this side of town. It's a smaller version for a smaller mini truck. I like this thing. As far as oak trees, Jack, they're everywhere, buddy. They're everywhere.
Get my head around what kind of problem there is with the ability to get this down a driveway to a house.
I think what that man just explained to us is the ticket. Not only at 8'6", but the turning radius that thing's gonna be able to turn. He's gonna be able to get in and out of
This is a
there
mini
night and
pumper.
day.
Yeah.
I like that truck.
Mhm.
I do.
I like this guy. I'm good.
Yeah.
That's, my question's totally different. I'm just wondering if we should do something in connection with this
Yes,
to require residents to trim trees, to suggest they trim trees, to send the Boy Scouts out with an 8-foot stick telling people where the problems are, the homeowners can do something.
That's not a bad idea.
Maybe once we get up there and get rolling and get this thing in there, maybe that's a good thing we put out there. I like that
Give it
idea.
a free start.
But I'm gonna go and measure mine first before I.
I'll say this, I've addressed issues like this before in driveways, working at a previous place 20 years ago.
That's right.
We ran across very similar issues in Paquito Bayou, in that area where they have the longer, deeper lots, where on the water, and that's typically where we ran across that, where we sent letters out to all those residents and asked them to call us so we could set an appointment up to take the truck out there so we could identify what needs to be trimmed in those areas. My thought was the exact same thing. Once we're in that station, we had this truck to do the same thing. And maybe we can make it a little bit more personal, depending on COVID issues and how that pans out in the future. But or what the status of COVID is at the time that we get the new truck or get a truck. That we go door to door down there on Calhoun and meet with the neighbors, explain what we're doing, have that communication so that we can identify what needs to be trimmed to be able to get this truck down there. With the other truck being taller, I think what we find is that they might have to take trees out as compared to trim trees up, because of the angle of the.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
We're gonna find one each of everything, I'm sure, but it'd be a pain in the butt to put a new station out there, get a new apparatus out there, and can't get down a damn driveway to save the house.
Well, I can promise you one thing, mine will be trimmed because I wanna make sure that truck can get down my driveway. And I believe 99% of the people are gonna feel the same way.
It's just needed to let them know what's what, so.
Yeah, and that is the plan, is that once we get the truck there and we're operating there, that crew will be assigned to be able to go house to house, and give that personal interaction with the folks that allow
great
them,
idea.
to let them know where the issues exist.
I would just suggest maybe we think about it differently. When our apparatus gets there and starts out there, we've already cleared the way for it.
Right.
That's what I was thinking, get Boy Scout troop out there, something.
Okay,
To just go around the neighborhood or do something with the city of Destin, because that's all city that direction, right?
Right.
So, something just, I think I'm with Mike. If most people were aware, that what the problem is, they'd probably take care of it.
great.
I know all my neighbors would, because they're excited about the new station coming out. And back to this truck, I like it. I mean, I like the truck. If that's what you're looking for.
Do we have a figure yet, that we can look at, or
We do.
or is there a projection that it may go up in a certain time period? That's kind of what I'm looking at, so we can make a decision.
Yes, sir. As a matter of fact, we had a 3% price increase February 1st. And I was able to get an extension to February 15th, to be honest with you. So
I
for
like
that,
the tactic.
so for that particular truck, it is a full pumper, just a little tighter. The cost is $493, $738.53. With 100% prepaid discount, the cost is $477, $152.63.
Oh, that's not
Did you write that down? What kind of suspension is that? Suspension.
It's just a straight front axle. It's not our independent front axle, the TAC Force suspension like what 9 and 10 have.
Yeah, exactly.
And there's two reasons. Number one, it's not a heavy enough truck to really justify it. And the other thing too is our TAC Force suspension increases the overall height of the truck by 3 inches. And this particular truck, you really can't afford any height that you don't need it.
And this particular truck's gonna be pretty much running up and down flat roads. It's not gonna be something that's gonna just, sit there and,
Not like that E1.
I mean, it's got my vote, guys. If we're looking for motions to move forward tonight, I'm ready to make one because, we can't wait much longer and it's a perfect rig. The chief said that the guys are all over it. They love it.
What's the cost of the last pumper that we bought? It was,
Yeah, it was 05.
Yeah.
yeah, it was closer to
5.
6, wasn't it? Closer to 6.
Yeah, it was. At the end of the day, it was.
So to get the same capabilities, just a shorter bit for
that.
472 if we
Yeah,
upfront.
some of that difference comes in that TAC Force suspension too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
the TAC Force suspension is more.
But that does.
Cost, oh, no, they do. So, in reference to Commissioner Wagner's question, we knew that this one, as we had spoken with Rob about, TAC Force suspension, because we know the guys, we know our folks like that TAC Force suspension. Speaking with Rob, we talked to a couple of others that have the same suspension, that this truck has locally. And we talked to their firefighters, so we had, our folks talk to their firefighters, and they said, no, the truck rides great. Even without the TAC Force suspension. Now, our guys have one, 2 trucks that have it. But, we talked to Fort Walton has a truck that does not have it, and, their new truck, and they like the way it drives. So I don't think we're gonna have a problem with it. I think what, outside of that area, because if we didn't, if we weren't worried about the height, I would like to be able to have a TAC Force suspension on all of our trucks. But because we are worried about it, and we have talked to those that have the same suspension that this truck has, and they say it drives and rides great. So our concern comes back to another manufacturer that produced a truck that beat our guys to death,
Mhm.
which we have since corrected that, and it's one of the reasons why we're buying from who we buy from now, which is Pierce.
If it's okay with the board, I'd like to make a motion to move forward so we can get into discussion on it. So I'll make a motion to move forward on this product.
I'll second.
I got a motion and a second to open up the discussion. Anybody feel free to discuss any further?
I like it.
Bob?
Yeah, money comes out of the asset fund, so we had the money for it. So would we use any money from the restricted fund for the impact fees? Or we just?
I think we'd have to check with Ms. Catherine to know exactly what we have in our impact fees. I do believe we've already utilized all the funds in that to purchase the property. So I don't know that we have any more impact fees. Something might have came in, but it's not going to be much. We haven't gotten any large project impact fees in recently. So I don't think we'll be able to pull from the impact fees. But we could, Ms. Catherine could probably elaborate on that.
We should just make sure we get the impact fees down to 0 because
I
probably
agree.
the last time in a long time we're gonna be able to use it.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
What was the difference in the cash? I saw you wrote it down.
Approximately, let me see, 16,000.
So if we pay cash, it's 16,000
savings.
savings that we could utilize somewhere
That's
else.
smart.
Yeah.
And Ms. Catherine?
Yeah, at this point, there are no cash reserves to pay for this. So if you were looking to pay for it 100% upfront to take advantage of the discount, you would need to borrow money from a fund. The only fund available to do that is the asset fund. We have already done that with the purchase of the land, but it is available. We know that we have a financing need come up. We were going to be prepared to repay the fund, but that is the option before you. The impact fees that are remaining are committed for other purchases that we have had. That's where your cash position stands.
I'll leave that with Jack.
Yeah, we were gonna look at selected items in the asset fund to see if we wanted to change the underlying requirement for them, notably the buildings at 9 and 10. Have we done that yet?
No, we have not.
Okay. I'm comfortable doing that, knowing that we've gotta go borrow money. Maybe not as much as we've spent, but we've gotta go borrow some amount to get our asset fund back to where it ought to be. And to just take that as an operating expense over, the 5 years or whatever it takes us to pay it off.
Thank you.
And seeing as how we're in the discussion, the truck comes without equipment. So we know what Rob's explained is that's the cost of the truck. So we're probably going to have to put another $75,000 in to fully outfit the truck because it comes with none. And the equipment we do have is already on apparatus. So I was speaking with Battalion Chief Taylor earlier today to try to get an estimate or an idea on what the potential cost would be to outfit the truck with new equipment. And we're both going to estimate between 60 and 75. We did something similar, but we didn't replace all the equipment previously on engine 9, not engine 10, but engine 9. And I think we set aside, I thought it was 60 at the time, but we weren't replacing everything. Being that we are going to, we were thinking maybe 75,000. So that would need to be not necessarily added into this motion, but I just wanted the board to be aware that we're going to have an additional cost for equipment. So,
I think we probably need to
and that doesn't matter which truck we buy, we're going to have
go
to
ahead
have
and move
equipment.
forward with all the equipment as well. What's the time frame, Rob?
Sorry?
What's the time frame we're looking at,
Next week,
start to
right?
finish?
Next week?
Not quite.
You're not in the whole year?
No.
Is there a projection lineup?
Right now, we have a projected of 11 to 13 months. It's going to be closer to the 11, but we're putting some wiggle room in there because quite honestly, with the current environment, there's been a lot of part shortages. And so we put some wiggle room in there. So we're saying 11 to 13 months.
That's everywhere.
That's going for campers and RVs and everything.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right away.
so, yeah, we can get.
Okay, so I'm gonna
Typically, it
amend my
wouldn't be that
motion.
broad.
Okay,
I'm gonna amend my motion to add the equipment price to it, to 70,000 to it.
okay.
So we're talking 552.
Second.
I want to make a little wiggle room to make it like 560. It's a little like, unless we're just in that ballpark.
And how does that get paid? Do we pay it all up front, all on delivery, some deposit up front, the rest on delivery, what?
On the apparatus side, because it is a prepay, to get the prepaid discount, it's 100% prepaid. But having said that, there's also a performance bond that is issued to you, which is basically an insurance policy that if the Oshkosh Corporation were to have a problem, you're not out your money.
Correct.
So there is a performance bond that's issued. Once I turn in the paperwork, they'll put it through the process and send a performance bond to the district.
So by paying it all up front, we save $16,000.
That's
We gotta
correct.
look at what kind of return that is, and because 11 to 13 months is a long time to have $500,000 laid out there.
It is, and you're
And I'm
right.
not sure that 16,000 is enough compensation for us to want to do that. We may just want to do whatever the deposit is and then pay the balance when it comes out.
And there's absolutely no
We just
deposit.
need to look at the numbers and sort it out.
Yeah, there's no deposit whatsoever that's required. Some of our departments will pay at delivery. That's fine. We don't require any money up front whatsoever.
Wow.
Then again, that's why I turned this over to you. Thank you. No, you and her were great.
Yeah, that's just a long, long time to have prepay something.
Well, it really is. We understand that.
Okay.
And quite frankly, some of our departments will order the apparatus now with the thought that after they get past October 1st, the new fiscal year, then they're in good shape that way. So it's whatever you guys prefer.
Ms. Catherine, you do the numbers, how much interest we can draw off that? On $550,000?
Not right now.
And really, it would only be on the cost of the apparatus and not the equipment part.
Yeah, let's do 493.
I like it. I like it, and we gotta have it.
Well, you can't have a station without it.
No.
So, I mean, we knew going forward, we were gonna buy an apparatus. So the apparatus is in front of us. Sounds to me, we've kind of made a decision on the type of apparatus.
Yep.
So right now, we have to just agree on the funding. We're gonna do it up front or afterwards.
I say pay up front. Let's be done with it.
Well, let's do a little math and figure out what it is to pay it up front or for 13 months from now.
Yeah.
I'm gonna amend my motion. Hear me out. To move forward with this truck with the equipment on it. And as far as the prepaid, I would like to leave it up to Jack and Catherine to get together and let them figure the numbers. If we prepay, say the 16, if we don't, if it's not worth it, to order the truck tonight while we're here with the equipment. That's my motion.
Okay. Got a motion and a second. So do you need to have, when do you have to have that decision made? To
February
get the
1st.
prepaid?
15th,
15th?
15th.
The 15th, so,
Okay.
yeah,
So we,
I realize that's not a lot of time, but that
No,
gives you
less than a
some
week.
time.
But at least we're gonna order tonight, hopefully.
Whatever you guys wish to do. If you were to sign our proposal tonight, 10/8 would bill you in a couple of weeks anyway.
Exactly.
So that would give you the opportunity that if you wish to prepay, that's fine, and if you wish not to, and
I don't want the opportunity for 2 or 3 more trucks to get in front of us in the next day or two where we're not.
Yeah.
We need to move forward.
And I want to make sure if we sign your proposal, that truck is ours all the way down the line, even if we haven't prepaid for it.
oh, yeah,
But I
that's,
suspect there'll be a whole lot more demand coming out rather than less.
no. Once I place an order, a job number is assigned, and that's your job number all the way through, so, yeah, it would.
You haven't gone to the factory yet. Might be your
I
turn.
volunteer, I'm going.
You need to go. It's cool.
yes.
Yeah, this time,
Whoever hadn't gone.
this truck is manufactured in Bradenton, so you know it's not Apple.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, so it'll be
Well, that's
South
in
Florida.
Wisconsin, right?
Appleton is, yes, sir.
And it leaves hit the water, what, about October?
Now that they're building in Brayton.
Yeah, this would be in Bradenton,
But this
Florida.
truck,
Florida.
Yeah.
So no musky fishing, in other words.
but I'm sure he'll fly you there if you want to go there.
And unless there's muskie in the Gulf, I don't think so.
But hey, wherever it's at, it's worth, it's, a lot of it's
Yeah,
handmade.
That's why it's
Yeah.
confident.
It's really nice. They do a great job. Okay, so I got a motion and a second to go ahead and approve the purchase and then allow the chief, Commissioner Wilson and Catherine sit down and decide if it's advantageous to go ahead and prepay or keep our money and pay
With
on
the
delivery.
I put the chief in that
With the
box too, just
With the equipment.
to keep it neat, tidy.
Okay, so a three-way, chief, Commissioner Wilson, and Chief.
Our attorney would like to get a copy of that proposal.
Yeah, if you don't mind, or if I could just take a look at it.
Sure.
Or get a copy of it while you're here, if you don't mind.
No, that's fine. In fact, I've got the whole thing on my laptop. I can bring it to you.
Okay, email it to me, it'll be fine. Thank you, great, thanks, sir.
Okay, so, all right, all in favor? Moving forward. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
for coming.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank y'all, I appreciate that.
No, it's gonna be nice, man.
And, it keeps our fleet. Thank you, Rob.
Thank you,
It's a
sir.
long day.
Thank you.
Hey, this is-
Do we need to sign that tonight before you leave, or just after he reviews it?
It's fine after he reviews it and it just.
I'll make sure Rob gets it.
That's no
He knows we got it. He knows it's coming.
Yeah.
On there, you just-
I like it.
I can sign it.
Thank you, sir.
That's cool.
Thank
All
you.
right, good deal. That's exciting.
I'd like to thank the commission because, it keeps our fleet, with a similar manufacturer, which isn't required. However, I will say that Pierce has not that we use them a lot, but we do for routine maintenance, has a shop, in Defuniak, which, so that way any work that needs to be done, whether it's warranty work, whatever it is, or whether it's, their annuals or quarterlies, being able to have that right down the street, so to speak, as compared to other manufacturers that have to take theirs to South Florida or has to have a mobile come in. For us, to me, as the chief, I can tell you, that's a big deal for me to know that we have a mechanic that's right here in our backyard.
And we don't have to go down and get it, they bring it up to us, and that's when
That's
we
right.
accept it, when it comes here. So if there's anything damaged or anything, they fix it.
I like it, man. I think it's a
Calls
cool
on
job.
10-8, and it goes up there and gets fixed and brought back down if it's not acceptable to us when we get it. So I think it's a good decision on our part. Appreciate everybody moving forward with that. I like it. All right, so we're gonna move on to West End District Station. I think we're gonna do a little bit, but not really get into it since we're gonna have a meeting next week. But
Yes,
we're
sir.
gonna just review real quick, and then we'll discuss a little bit, and then
If that's all right with, if that's all right with the board, we have been working on a presentation, and I say a presentation that, as well as video, and you saw some of that running as you came into the meeting today. There was a video running. Ms. Tammy and I, went down to the Bay House, and took some pictures and measurements and those kind of things. So that way the board, would be able to, if you haven't been there, or it's been a while since you've been there, we'll be able to kind of see the general layout, see the property, see the sizes of rooms and those kind of things, so that I'm hoping that it'll help the board make an informed decision on how they'd like to kind of move forward, or any additional questions that you may have. So we put these items together. We could present some of them tonight. If it's all right with the board, what I'd like to do is email the video as well as the presentation to the board, allow y'all to take the time to review those before our next meeting. Email me or call me with any questions or any additional information you might need, or pictures you might need to be taken. Anything that you feel might need to be added to the presentation for the other board members to be able to see at our next meeting, I'd like to send it and let y'all review it, and then provide any additional information you might need, and then give the presentation at the next meeting so that the full board then can discuss it at that meeting, if that's okay. We could give it tonight if what the board would like, but I'd like to go and present it to you and give you the opportunity to review the presentation before we present it. If that's okay with
that's
that.
fair enough for me.
Yes, sir.
Fair enough for everybody else?
Thank you.
Before you move on, though, I asked a manufacturer to come in and do a presentation for next week.
Okay.
So it's from Road Industries, and the contact person is David Finicaro, and he's our contact person, and he's the one that did the ones over in Panama City, the two they built over there, and they're called, they're membrane buildings, and they're a third the cost of what they normally cost for a stick built.
Mhm.
So it's 1/3 the cost. So it's something, I got pictures here of what they did to the Bay House. And if you want to go on their website, I got it here. It's sprung.com, structures/structures, municipal buildings, fire station. If you want, I'll give you a copy and you can go look at the pictures. And it shows, it's something different, something to look at, but they want to come and do a presentation next week. And I asked them to come in. And they had come to me about 4 years ago and asked me about it, because they did 10 Air Force Base. They did, when they had this damage over there, they built buildings for them. They built 2 fire stations over there. They built one for 1.5, the other one for $1.3 million. So it's like 1/3 the cost of what a normal structure would be, and they could have it up within 3 to 6 months.
Oh,
And if they can be taken down, and if you wanted to, like, if we took over the property on 10, we could put that building, if we want to save our money, then build a concrete building later on, and do like Tommy said, in incremental stages. We could use this for temporarily, do that, then maybe use this building later on and house our beach safety out there. It's something like that, but it's a 25-year warranty on it. It's a membrane building. It's aluminum. It's attached to the ground. It's Miami-Dade, like you mentioned, Miami-Dade code, which is Hurricane 5.
Mhm.
It's for Hurricane 5. So it has all the positives. So I asked them to come in and just do a presentation to us to give us an idea what to look forward to.
Like options.
Yeah, another option. So it is.
When you say a membrane building, is that like a tent?
It's, well, and they said it's not a tent. Their pitches, it's not a tent. It's
Okay.
membrane. It's 25 years, and it's like, it holds the Cat 5. And and so it's
I'm
gotta be.
impressed with that.
So, and if you want the pictures, look at the pictures from other places, and it's pretty interesting. But I just wanted to give you guys an option.
I'd be curious to see what.
Is the manufacturer in Perry by any chance?
No, it's out of Utah, I believe, but the guy that I talked to used to live over right here in Dustin, and he came to me, like I said, like 4 years ago, and he told me about it, and at the time we weren't interested in expanding or nothing, so I just didn't think nothing of it. But when we saw this, and I went looking for firehouse design and stuff like that, I came across this. Then I inquired to the company, and this guy that I talked to first calls me up. He goes, "Yeah, we talked a long time ago. You remember?" He goes, "Yeah, I didn't have your phone number anymore, so I didn't know how to reach you." But he reached out to me, and it's pretty interesting.
Yep.
That's Southport's building right there, and the other one, I can't think of the name of the other building, but 1.3, 1.5. You know, they are portable. They are membrane, but it's just an option. I actually gave him Mike's size dimension. 40 by 80. I says, bring your presentation based on that. So that's all I can tell you. I get you in the door, present your case. I didn't promise them nothing. I just told them, it's all on you.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
it is.
But they haven't done,
It really is.
and if you go on the website, you can look at the inside pictures too. It's pretty neat inside too. And I was impressed. And
That's
that's
where this station is.
That's Southport Station. I
Oh,
think-
it's South.
Southport, yeah, just north of Penellis, you know.
Oh.
Yeah.
I also told him, remember Jack-
I've seen
Jack
it,
said
but I
last
didn't
week-
pay no attention to
I
it.
know what Jack said about, when he was talking about the bus station and stuff like that. So I said, well, how about a design down the middle, like diagonal? Can you do diagonal and we come around and pull in the back and pull out the same way we came in committee? He goes, yeah, I can design something like that too. So they can do anything they want, they can do. So it's just an option.
Yeah.
But I
appreciate it.
but
Yeah,
it's-
no,
Is it fire resistant?
Yeah, Mike, I don't know. I didn't really talk to him.
So you're gonna, to my understanding, you're gonna hold
Our
our
house.
Right?
Right?
to the next.
Right?
Yeah, 10, right? Yeah, I don't know. But that's all I wanted to talk. It's an option.
All right, good deal. Well, anything else on the West End?
Yeah, thanks.
Next Wednesday?
No, sir, if you'll allow, I'll do it next.
Okay, that'll be fine. Perfect. All right, moving on to chief reports, beach safety update.
We're getting,
Good evening.
Hey, Joe,
Hey, everybody. Thank you,
did you have a
Mr.
good birthday?
I did. Thank you for asking. Yeah.
Good.
Another year closer to 50.
uh,
It's right around the corner. I made a little bit of a mistake here. It said first swim tester tomorrow. It's actually our second swim test. I forgot. We had swim tests on Saturday. 9 people all passed flying colors. Tomorrow I have another 5 on the schedule. So we're hiring and firing. Everything's moving and we're on the beach in 25 days. If you have any questions, the stuff that I know it goes so fast. The stuff we're doing right now is very boring to share with the meeting, but just getting our 4-wheelers ready, paperwork, med supplies, we put lifeguard chairs out yesterday. But if you have, I know it's supposed to be like in the 30s this weekend, but it comes quick.
Well, great job on the Rhino line on the right wave runners. I think that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Because you're constantly running against boats or whatever, so that's a great idea, I think.
If you have any questions other than that, I'd be more than happy to answer them.
I'm good, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
thank you, Joe.
You're welcome.
All right, moving to training report, chief.
Yes, sir, you'll see, the folks were able to attain 37 hours. Last month, you'll see the 10 hours, they did some rope rescue operations training. That's one of these series, and next one will be tech in that rope rescue series and then multiple others. But you'll see we'll start doing those, trying to lay our guys out with our own instructors with a lot of the operation stuff. So we'll try to do the operation stuff. Now that we have a core group, we have some instructors that are in that group. They can do some of the instructing, so they'll do some of the operations instruction, and then we'll bring someone in to do the technician level. So, but great job on our folks' part, and attaining 37 hours.
That's good, chief. Any questions? All right. Moving into the inspection report.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman, you have a report in front of you there. Not a whole lot to report as far as, big new buildings or anything coming in. The Charles down there, they have two buildings almost completed. A roof is on one of them totally. The other one is almost completely done. And they're starting on the third building, putting them up. So they are rocking and rolling on them things. And that's wild to go watch and stuff. Far as that, not a whole lot of big jobs coming forward right now.
Did we receive any of their impact money, or did we already get that? Okay.
Yes, sir.
I was at, last Friday at Breakers East on the top floor. I looked over at the Charles, that's a big project.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes.
When you're that high up, you look down, that's a big project.
Yep.
How many homes?
6 buildings. I think it's a total of 180 something units or something.
Unbelievable.
Those are sellable, right?
I watched them come in on trucks.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they're not.
They are still coming in every day.
The parking lot to the left, they're just sitting there stacked, ready to go.
I saw Route 98 one day,
Go look at
two of them cut across the road in front of me.
Go look at it.
Just put mobile homes back.
It's impressive.
They started taking that, that sand pile, they started taking that over by mountain there. I saw it, they boat builders in there hauling that stuff out.
Mm-hmm.
That was
Okay.
amazing.
It's gonna be a townhouse.
A lot of white sand there.
Matt, thank you very much, man.
Thanks, Matt.
Question that, do you do residential fire inspections?
We do not, no, sir. The Florida Fire Prevention Code does not go into residential. Now, condos and apartments is, apartment buildings and stuff. They're not residential.
Can we do a courtesy inspection at the request of a homeowner? Yes, sir.
Sure.
Absolutely, but we don't.
Could you check out how the trees are on the driveway as you go up to the house?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That could be like for the fire guys, when they go out and check, fire hydrants, they can go
Yeah,
and
no.
check those.
We're gonna get it done.
Yeah. Thanks, Matt.
I would even think about how Joe runs the summer bee safety program with kids.
Mhm.
We might do something special on fire inspection, it's just accessibility inspection, and do that coincident with opening our new station. You wanna get some good plugs on the west side of town, that would be fantastic.
Or like the city does, and they say, adopt a street, you can say adopt a
For the neighborhood.
neighborhood and help cut the tree limbs for the elderly or something.
I don't know about cutting them or not, but at least just identifying them. I would guess if most homeowners knew what needed to be done to protect their house,
Mhm.
they'd do it.
Yeah.
Be stupid not to.
Mhm.
Some people don't agree, we had some way to get.
Oh, I believe they will.
All right, well, thanks, Matt.
Thank you.
Thank you, Matt.
Overtime report, Chief?
Yes, so you see, we had a few hours last month. There were 2 shifts or partial 2 shifts that we had to fill. And I don't know the specifics, but I'm sure somebody went home, right after a shift started. The others, the smaller hours you'll see there, are kind of, or Brian prior to us bringing, a couple of folks in to cover while we send the truck over to the Ocean City inspector's funeral, the inspector that passed with COVID. So
Right.
we made sure that we had a truck in it, and we had to bring some folks in to kind of cover the district while we sent the truck over. But overall, really not a bad month. It's not as clean as we have had in the past, which I think is to have a spotty month is, and I say that, it's not really that bad, but a month like that, comparatively speaking, for the last few months, it's not too bad.
Any questions about the overtime report? Thank you, Chief.
Yes, sir.
All right, we're moving into new business, emergency and medical services.
Yes, sir. The question was kind of asked about emergency services and what's kind of going on. We've been, and I wanted to have a little bit of time to kind of hopefully finish up at least one part of a numerous part process of analysis. As the board's aware, we haven't been able to get the data as easily as we have in the past. we pressed the dispatch or the sheriff's office, now the sheriff has taken it over, we pressed them for the data. They're providing us with data, but the data is fairly raw, and we're having to extract and before, when we received it, when we were producing the reports, we could pop it into our Excel spreadsheet with formulas that we had, and it kind of produced the data we're looking for. Now we're having to do quite a bit more to be able to extrapolate the data that we need for multiple purposes. So to produce the data that we have in the past in reference to response times for the year, we went back this full past year, pulled all the, parsed all that data to be able to produce similar numbers to what this board has seen before. So with that said, one of the 759 or 8-minute response time that we utilized, and we were looking to try to hit that 90% of the time. Well, we're hitting it at 82% of the time. Last year, overall, we hit it at 82% of our time. EMS hit that 8-minute mark 26% of the time last year. So a significant difference. You'll also see that when we talk about the factile response times in that 90th percentile which is really what we aim to try to hit within 90% of the time, that 90th fractile, that we're hitting that mark of 759. Well, we're hitting it at 922. So if that fractile response time pulled all the way up to 90%, where would you hit? We're at 922. Where the county is at 2147.
Wow.
So a significant difference in those times and when they arrive. And if you look at just a straight across mean, the mean we're hitting it at 617 arriving on scene. They're hitting it at 1227, and that's just being the mean. So some of the other data that we used to extract was whether transport, non-transport, that kind of thing. So we pulled that data from last year. So that kind of gets us back to a really good starting point of where we're going to do a cost analysis, as well as not only from this data, but we're a little bit more research, maybe some of the other departments with the collection rates and then try to apply that. So when we perform a cost analysis, and I think it's hopeful, Ms. Kathy tells me to hold my enthusiasm as far as being hopeful with it, but I would hope that we might be able to have some analysis on the cost side done that we can sit down with each board member between now and our next regular board meeting and kind of present some cost to the board so that you'll have an idea of what we're dealing with. I will say that, and I say that in the respect of, if this board so chose to move forward, I would like for this board to know what the cost might be and how we might be able to cover those costs if we decide to take on providing this service. That is, if the county would provide it, I don't want to get into great detail of that, but if we decided to go this way, could we or could we not afford it based upon our analysis of its cost as well as our collection rate. So that's the analysis we're trying to perform now, sit down with the commission and be able to kind of lay that out for you so you know, kind of get a handle on what you're dealing with or what we are dealing with, and maybe help us in decisions moving forward. I really, at this present moment, until we know kind of where we stand as far as the finances are concerned, before we go and talk to anyone outside of this group of 5, meaning county commission or anyone in the county about moving forward with this. So I want you to understand the dollars and cents as it relates to whether or not we really want to take this project on and whether we want to approach the county about allowing us to, or how we go about that. I mean, there's other ways, as I've talked to different commissioners individually about. The EMS chief for the county has said that they're looking to put 3 more ambulances on, which that's a good thing. Do I think that it's going to, based upon my almost 40 years experience, do I think that that's going to fix, correct, the issue as we see it with these numbers? I don't think so. I think we may see some improvement because you have more ambulances on the road, so therefore the potential is there to be able to reduce some of those times. However, the model that we would look at would make a significant difference as compared to the model that they're utilizing, which the model they're utilizing is a constant roaming ambulances providing coverage in different areas. So an ambulance that might be in Destin could end up moving to the island, could end up moving to the Army Museum and being the only ambulance in the south end of the county that covers all of the south end of the county, until one frees up from a hospital or comes off a call or clears. So our model, as we've talked about before, is much different. It's assigned in Destin, assigned to our station, and it runs our calls and provides mutual aid to neighboring departments. However, you won't catch our rig in Crestview. You won't catch our rig standing by the Army Museum. So it's a completely different model. And the two different models are going to have different outcomes as far as response times are concerned. You've got one always moving. Occasionally, it might be right on top of one because it's passing through. But the chances are greater that it's going to be outside of the district and not on top of us, which is currently bearing those numbers out right now at 26% of the time they're able to get it under that 8 minutes. Most people compare, and we talked about this before, we hold ourselves to a higher standard in everything that we do. So we're using an 8-minute standard, which is an NFPA standard utilized. So we're using that number that comes from NFPA. There's a standard that we were using previously, which was just and I tried to find where it's actually located. It's not written like we have for fire, NFPA says, but it was the 8:59 standard, because they say it was 8 minutes when it originally started. Well, they said, we'll go a few seconds over, we can count that it's 8 minutes, so it was 8:59. When we were running the data at 8:59, what we found is that we were hitting that over 90% of the time.
Right.
So there's a 10% difference, because once we dropped it that full minute, it put us at a full minute lower. So what I would say is that we held ourselves to the standard that I know other departments do as far as using the 8:59. You would see us in 90th percentile. You would see us there every month. We were before we dropped it, and you would see the counties improve from 26% to being in the 30s. So, but either way, I think the model that would be best to fix this issue would be the model that we were looking at, with ambulances being assigned to a given area in the station, and that's where they cover.
Chief,
Go ahead, sir, sorry.
is there anybody at the county that thinks this is an issue that needs to be fixed?
Within the EMS division, they recognize that that there are response concerns because the fire chiefs have addressed that with them. So I think they understand that it's an issue. I think past the EMS chief or maybe the public safety director, there are a county commissioner or two that are aware of a few issues that have occurred in the past that absolutely want to address these concerns. And at the point that this board is ready, I'm more than willing to, and I think I've expressed that I'm more than willing to talk to every one of the county commissioners individually as well as in a public meeting about the concerns that we have and how we'd like to address it. But before we do, I want to make sure the board has a full grasp of the dollars and cents that'll kind of go into this, so that we'll be able to, we know the direction we're going and be confident in our ability to be able to cover the cost without any additional expense, or what the additional expense would be for our potential additional expense.
We just have to negotiate the correct interlocal agreement.
With the, yes, sir.
They pay for our cost and we manage it more efficiently than they do at
Yep.
a higher level of service.
Yep.
Yes, my experience always is nobody wants your help solving a problem they don't know they have. And the EMS folks may think they got a response problem because the fire chiefs have told them. It don't work for the fire chiefs.
It's true.
It's a whole different, I mean, that's different.
That's true.
Green and blue.
Absolutely.
And unless somebody at the county or citizens in the southern half of the county see it's a problem that's got to be solved, I
I just don't know how we're gonna get traction to get it solved. If we've got a couple of, city commissioners that are interested in this thing, that's probably where you gotta start.
Yes, sir.
But, I would love to see half the people that have come in here over the last 7 years bitching to us about heart attacks, response and all that stuff. Just go and get a bus and take them to a county commission meeting once.
Agree. Agree. I know that there are a couple of county commissioners that are, as soon as the fire chiefs are ready, which means our commission is ready, they're ready to address that and ensure that those that work within that division truly recognize that there's an issue that needs to be addressed.
Well, the public really doesn't know until it really affects them. Right. Like the ambulance didn't get to their house and their loved one in
That's
a
correct.
timely manner
That's the, yes,
to
sir.
transport it.
Do you think
You
the
know?
public differentiates Okaloosa County from Destin Fire Control District?
I don't.
It's,
I'm not quite sure. I just know that when they see us, because we're most likely get there before they do. So they just assume that they're supporting us to
Yeah.
transport, but the general public probably doesn't know
No.
that there's a separation between the two, just like they don't think we're separated from the city of Destin. You know, so,
that's correct. And we
Probably
experienced
same.
that on scene. So when we're sitting on scene, waiting on an ambulance, they think it's our ambulance, and we have to, we clarify it for them and let them know that we're two separate entities.
mhm.
Because at times they will want to complain, or they tell us they're going to, and we make sure to direct them to where they need to go, the appropriate entity that needs to address that. And it isn't us, because it's not our ambulance, so. And they've said that they've made phone calls, so, we don't necessarily follow up on that and make sure they call, the county to express their displeasure with the services or response times or whatever it happened to be.
Yeah.
So no, they do not, most of them do not separate or distinguish between the two of us.
I mean, I don't know, because I haven't heard that people, I'm calling, because we're not responding,
No, sir.
you know, so.
Well,
I've got
hear
no
that.
sense.
Question? I've been in support of this for years.
Absolutely.
Can we do this at the same time we're building out a new fire station?
I think once we have performed our cost analysis, I'll be able to provide a very confident answer, because it is gonna come down to dollars.
It's gonna be a hill to climb.
And not only just is it the dollars that we would look to recoup for the services provided, it'll be the initial startup cost as well and capital acquisitions. So, we'll have to, once we, complete that, and we'll be talking with the commission hopefully before our next meeting, hopefully we'll be far enough along.
I think the dollars are easy because we can figure that out.
Okay.
But if you look at our normal day-to-day operations, pretty well takes all the management that we have around here.
Mhm.
So let's throw a new apparatus and a new building and all that stuff on top of that.
Yes, sir.
And on top of that pile, now we're gonna stack taking on a whole new service line
Yes, sir.
and declaring basically warfare of the county. I don't mean it in a negative way, but and hopefully it doesn't go that way.
I hope not.
The time sink of this thing is what I worry about.
Yes, sir, I agree.
That was where my question is.
No, sir, once you explain it that way, I absolutely agree with that, which has been a concern of mine as far as trying to have too many irons in the fire, trying to address them and keep them all working at the same time when we really need to be able to focus on an issue. So yes, sir, that is a little bit of concern, being that I don't want anything, once we start to work on a project, whether it be the new station and the new apparatus, or whether it be an EMS issue, I like to be able to focus on that, provide it with our full attention. Because we know that when we take something on, we're going to do it to the best of our ability, and when we set the bar for that, we never set our bar low, we always set our bar super high, and we obtain it. So whatever project we take on, we're going to ensure that bar is set high and that we obtain it, whether it's the TRT, or whether it's a new station, or whether it's potentially taking on an EMS service.
We do that.
And a good job, I think.
Yes,
Thank you.
we've got some good folks.
All right, any further questions?
That you do, man.
No.
Thanks, Chief.
Yes, sir.
We'll be looking forward to that.
Yes, sir. I'll be making some phone calls before next meeting, so we can all sit down and talk.
Okay. All right, moving into insurance renewal, health insurance, I guess, Catherine?
Yes, sir. It's okay. I'd like Ms. Catherine to take it on. We discussed it quite in depth.
The health insurance for the district renews on March 1st. We have worked with our broker to obtain quotes from 3 companies in the area which will quote us. Florida Blue carrier we have been with several years ago. Their rates are extremely high. They're not comparable. We would have to reduce our plan benefits so far low to get anywhere in the ballpark. Aetna, we have yet to receive the numbers for Aetna because it's not promising. Last year, they were nowhere close as well. So what we've done is we've analyzed our current coverage with United Healthcare. Our current plan was initially brought to us with a renewal of 11.5% increase. Our broker was able to work with them to get that reduced to a 6% increase. The cost of a 6% increase would be an additional $33,000. We are actually proposing a plan change. This plan change would save us an additional 2%. And overall, it's a benefit for the district as well as the employees. So what you have before you is you have a comparison. We have a split plan. It's a co-pay plan with a deductible. And the district pays the back end of the deductible. So what we're proposing is to go to a plan that has lower co-pays for primary care physician, for a co-pay for specialist, co-pay for urgent care. They're all lower. However, this plan has a higher deductible, $500 higher for single, $1,000 higher for family. We are proposing that the district make up the difference in the deductible to the employee so the employee's deductible doesn't change. Now, the reason we are proposing this is because the structure of this plan, we do not have a large utilization in the deductible. We do not have utilization of the HRA that we have it structured, which is great. It's great for the district. It's great for the employees. So by not having the utilization, the district can actually save more money because we're not putting that cost out in premiums. So it's a win-win for both parties. Again, it's a savings of an additional 2%, which is an $11,000 savings, which means the cost of increase of insurance for this upcoming year would increase by $23,000. So it is our proposal to stay with United Healthcare, but to change to the plan BWP7. And the final note, the cost for the employees, an employee with a family would experience an additional premium cost per month of $4. That's the effect there, but they have savings every time they go to a physician.
And given it's United, everyone keeps their doctors?
Yes, we're in the same network. They have absolutely no change with who they see.
That's a good plan, I think.
So move.
Second.
All right, got a motion to approve and second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, take a vote. All in favor?
Thank you.
Unanimous. Great job in getting them to lower it down and thinking outside the box and this other plan.
Yeah, David, really good at that.
Yeah, David's good. That was good. Okay, the next meeting is our special meeting. It's scheduled next Wednesday, February 17th at 9 a.m. And the regular meeting will be March 9th, 2021 at 5:30 p.m.
Isn't there our special meetings every week after that too?
Very good.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. And that's what I was going to, thank you for bringing it up. I wanted to highlight that with the board as well. As the board had asked, we've set a meeting up every week for a couple of months so that it gives us plenty of time. If we don't use all those, it's great. Once the decision making is great, we can always
So
cancel
the next
them.
one after that will be the 24th.
Right, it's gonna be every Wednesday, except for the week we have a board meeting, and then we'll just have that discussion at the board meeting. So we need to have 2 meetings in that week.
Okay. Certainly.
Well, every Wednesday, 9 a.m. for a while.
For a couple months, that's right. Till May, I think is what I had, Ms. Catherine.
So we can get it.
If we
figured
don't
out.
use it, we don't use it.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, anything else coming from the board? Seeing none, this meeting is adjourned.
Thank you all so much for that.
Thanks, everybody.
Right?